Hi, I'm Eva Mezo, a minister at First United Church in Waterloo. We sometimes try to compartmentalize God in our lives, thinking that God is someone that we come upon on a Sunday at church, or someone we turn to when we are in need of help. But God is there throughout living, throughout our full lives. God is present in many, many ways. In school, we were talking about healthy relationships, and I was about to read a story to them, and I wanted to get their attention focused on this. And so I was trying to gather some information about what they know. And I had just been talking about healthy eating, and so I thought, okay, we'll start there. And I said, well, what effects does healthy eating have on our bodies? And someone said that it makes you beautiful. Someone else said that it gives your body what it needs. A third said that it gives you energy. And a fourth said that it provides healing. And I thought, wow, I was sort of amazed that they just came up with that. And then I shifted that for them and I said, well, I think that's what healthy relationships provide as well. And so we will use their wisdom today to look at the scriptures from our service today to see how it is that these pieces fit together in our journeys, having healthy relationships with God and with the people around us. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus is being baptized, and he comes up from the water, and you hear God's voice saying, "This is my beloved, with whom I am well pleased." It is a moment of affirmation, of saying, I see you, and I think you're great. It is an example of how healthy relationships make us beautiful, make us feel beautiful. How often do we suffer because we're not willing to name that beauty? We say, yes, I'm beautiful, but if I just lost some of that weight. Or yes, I think that you are wonderful if you just stop doing that thing that you do. And so instead of affirming one another, we judge one another, we shame each other, we shame ourselves. But this moment of Jesus coming up from the water and hearing God's words of blessing, of affirmation, reminds us of what can happen if we bless a situation. If we look in the mirror and say, yes, I carry that extra weight. And maybe one day, maybe now, I'll be able to lose it. But right now, in this moment, I am enough. I am beautiful. And so it's providing the climate for that change to happen. The term forcing a bulb comes to mind. Even though the word forcing is in there, we really mean the opposite. We mean to create a situation where that bulb, that flower bulb, is placed in some soil, in some sunlight, and given water. And sure enough, in the middle of winter, we can have tulips blooming on our dining room tables. It's creating that condition so that something will blossom and bloom. From there, Jesus goes right into the wilderness. And it is a time of discerning need, to figure out what is the want and what is integral to us. What is it that we need? And this can be a time of suffering as we go around and around in the wilderness trying to find our way out, trying to find our way forward. And we struggle with this. But at some point, it becomes clear that what we all need is to love and to be loved. And if you look at the Bible, usually a good book has the culminating theme present itself at the end. But in the Bible, it's right at the center. It's at the center of that book that it is revealed to us, that power of that love through Jesus Christ, what that looks like, what that faithfulness, what that seeking the other looks like. And it is that need to love and to be loved. And so it's with that that he emerges from the wilderness and he knows his purpose. Not because somebody told him, not because he went to Sunday school or he was confirmed, but because he just lived it. He just struggled through it. And he comes out of the wilderness with energy to proclaim the good news that God is here in our midst, available to us all. We don't need someone to provide intercession. We can access God's love. All of us can. When we think about someone like Mahatma Gandhi, who was on one hunger strike after the other, or Martin Luther King Jr., who was threatened by violence, or Nelson Mandela, who was separated by his family, his loved ones. And we think, where did they get the energy to do what they did? But it was the Spirit. There's nothing like the Spirit to help us live life with vitality. The Old Testament reading was from Genesis, where God is talking about the rainbow and the promise of the rainbow, to remind the people that God will never, ever destroy God's creation with a flood. And the promise and the renewal of relationship between God and God's people, living in covenant. And so here's the healing that healthy relationships can bring. Because brokenness is inevitable. It is there everywhere we look. We look at the indigenous people of this land, and there is so much hurt. And what we're invited to is an openness, a willingness to recognize and to see what is there, not to necessarily go in and solve the problem. That image, that symbol of the rainbow, is something that I really see almost every day when I'm at school. Children are drawing rainbows all the time. There's something about a rainbow that attracts us. It's also the symbol used by the LGBTQ community, a symbol of diversity, a symbol of inclusivity, a symbol of welcome, a symbol of safe space. All teachings that are central in what Jesus said, lived, and manifests in this world. Living life is to experience relationship with God. God cannot be contained. God cannot be limited. But God is part of the affirmation. God is part of the struggle. God is part of that energy, and God is part of the healing. And so it is that as we journey, we seek compassion, we seek love, we seek purpose, and we seek wholeness. May it be so. Amen.